So I've been running my own business now for 15 years and coaching other entrepreneurs for probably about 3 years now. Maybe about 4 because it started just after the pandemic. And there's one thing every single business has in common. And that is they don't realise what money is coming out of their accounts. Now, you're probably thinking that sounds utterly ridiculous and obviously that would never happen to you, but I bet you any money, ironically, that there's something coming out of your account that you don't realise, or at least it's costing you way more money than you don't realise. This still happens to me, and I'm someone who checks my bank account really regularly. The problem is, when you have so many different ways to take payments or make payments, you've got like PayPal, direct debit, your card, cash, transfers, all that sort of stuff. It's really difficult to keep track of all the transactions and the direct debits that are coming out of your account unless you have someone who's hired for that. So, most business owners, small business owners, don't have the money for a CFO role. And bookkeepers kind of just do the bookkeeping, but they don't actually keep you on track of everything usually, and they don't give you advice and help you with budgeting. And so even really experienced business owners go through this, and they are concentrating on other aspects of the business, and they make mistakes and they don't realise what's coming out of their account. So this video is about the 5 most common ways small businesses bleed money and they don't even realise it. So please do check your own accounts and see if you're falling for these next 5 traps. So the first one is software. And I think it's getting worse now with the rise in tech and AI and all these stuff. There's literally a tool for everything. And they all promise you to increase your productivity, like to save your time. And you're thinking, okay, it's worth the investment because it saves me an hour per week. That's like insane. As a business owner, time is our most valuable commodity, and obviously you times that by your hourly rate, and it's usually worth the investment. And they often get you in with a free trial or that Black Friday discount. I've fallen for that loads of times, and you sign up for it, you plan to use it, but you don't want to miss that deal, you forget about it, and then you don't realise you have a decent size chunk of a membership fee coming out of your account every single month. So I now do a software audit every 6 months where I go through our bank accounts and go through our software subscriptions and have a look at what we're actually paying for and whether we still need it, because this will save you so much money. With so many options out there now and all these new tools literally coming out what feels like every single week, you probably will find a tool to replace like 3 or 4 of yours, and you can actually save so much money by doing it, especially if you have a team, because a lot of these software charge like per seat. So you think, oh, it's only $10.99 per month, and if you've got like 12 people in your team, you've got a whopping fee coming out your account every single month. So it's worth doing that audit just to make sure and to see how often you're using it, and also just check with the efficiency of your team. There are also little cheats a way around if you do have a team. For example, like with social media management platforms, it's like you pay for team packages, but do each of your team members actually need a separate login for that social media management tool? Because if they don't, you can use one and all share that. And the same with Google Workspace. We've saved so many of our clients hundreds and hundreds of pounds, sometimes thousands of pounds a month, because they're paying for email addresses with Google Workspace. And actually all they need is the G Suite tools, which are like, for docs and sheets and all that sort of stuff in the Drive, which is free. Anyone can sign up for that, even with a workplace account. People don't even realise that. So my knobs email address has a Google account, and you can use a calendar, you can use a Drive, and I do all that, but I don't pay for the email addresses. We do hosting services for our clients, and actually there's free emails within that. And most of the time that's sufficient. And that literally saves us hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds per month. So I spend a lot of time now doing tech stack reviews for my clients, and I've managed to save them so much money. So if you ever need someone to review your tech stack, just reach out, I'll be happy to help. So the second one is memberships. This is personally how I bled money. Now, I love being part of communities, like how I'm running my own one now, right? But the problem is, I signed up to so many different memberships, and I'd be hounded for weeks by their membership manager, promising me that I'd meet like-minded individuals, I'd probably win some clients, it's amazing. And they'd be just consistently telling me about the benefits of it. And I'm like, okay, great, I'll sign up. And then as soon as I sign up, don't hear anything from them, don't get anything out of it, and I'm just paying several £100 a month for nothing. Now I could go to their events, I could, message people on Slack channel, but it's a lot of effort. And you just keep signing up to them, and you'd be so disappointed with that last one. So you sign up to another one, and you just think, actually, if it's a few £100 a month, all you need is one client a year, a decent sized client, and you make your money back. So you think, it's got to be worth the investment. I must get one client a year from, like, these memberships. So you keep on doing it, you keep on failing, and then you never make money, and it's embarrassing. So memberships are brutal. You have to really evaluate memberships. It's often better to invest just in one and invest all your time in it and get the most out of it. So this is the reason why I created Knobs, because I wanted like as one place for us to be. But there's obviously other types of memberships out there. For example, like Soho House or anything like that. And there's memberships with like actual physical places, which are nice to go. And, totally different vibe to the other types of memberships. And so I was doing all of it. And I was spending in excess of 5k a month on memberships, and I certainly was not getting the value back. Okay, so domains are the third one I want to cover, and you're probably thinking, aren't they like £10 a year? Like, how much money could you lose from them? Okay, so hear me out. So if you're an entrepreneur like me, you have a million different business ideas in your head, and you're often just like, oh, I must buy this domain and register it and do the plan with it. I have a ton of domains which I've just not used anything for, and I've bled money, but I have clients who are way worse. They have literally hundreds and hundreds of domains to their name. Now, if you times that by 10, think about how much money you've wasted. But actually, some of the cooler looking domains, which are like .club, .london, .io, they could be 40, 50, or even more for the really, really cool domain pounds. And so you add that, you times that by 100, and some of them have got 300, 400 domains, I'm not even joking, and you just waste money. Now, I know it's addictive when you're an entrepreneur to come up with business ideas and you've got all these like ways of trying to market the business, but it's really dangerous. And worse still, I've seen SEO gurus who have recommended this as a way of building up your company's SEO. Now, this is like an olden day technique, and it's like, it's called black hat technique because it's supposed to be unscrupulous techniques that try to manipulate the Google algorithm. But basically, if you get caught, you're busted, and Google basically never feature you in their search engine, so it's not worth the effort. But essentially, they try to get many different blogs or websites that all have similar keywords in them and help you find them, and they all kind of link back to your main site. And essentially, it's like called a blog farm, and you're kind of all linked to each other, and it's like a blog network. And people have done it, but actually, it's black hat SEO, it's not good, you will ruin your company's reputation and you'll waste a lot of money. And think about it as well, each one of those sites that you do, just think, unless you're a website developer yourself, unless you have designers and developers that you've got on hand, you're going to be spending hundreds, if not thousands, on each one of those websites. And just add that all up for the sake of some artificial SEO boost, which probably gets taken off and punished for later. Definitely not a good investment. Okay, so this one is about transaction fees. And if you sell anything online, whether it's an e-commerce site or whether even if you just invoice people, you'll have a transaction fee for each of those payments you're doing. So whether it's directly from your bank or whether it's from a payment provider. For example, we invoice for our work, and we use like Stripe as a payment gateway or PayPal. Each one of those takes a processing fee. Now, again, they're small, but most people don't even realise what's coming out of their account. For example, some providers charge a percentage of your payment that's coming in, like 3%, plus a service charge on top of that, so like 50p. Now, if you have a business which is like tiny little digital products or small little things, that's a big chunk of your profits coming out. Obviously, if you're having thousands and thousands of pounds, you're not going to notice that as much, but it's an extra fee. But it's all relative, right? And for example, I offer my clients multiple ways to pay. They can pay bank transfer, like direct debit, like credit card, PayPal, and each of these, my point is that I want to make it as easy as possible for them to pay. But what I didn't realise is that a lot of them have really, really high transaction fees. And so it eats into your profit a lot. So it's so important that you actually shop around for payment processors, because you won't realise how much is actually coming out of your account. So it's worth looking at regularly. And if you have an e-commerce website, for example, on Squarespace or Shopify, you're forced to use their payment gateway. It's a built-in one. And you then have to pay their fees. And it's usually a bit higher because that's how they make their money. So you really need to take this into consideration of every transaction when you determine your pricing. As I said, these numbers are not massive and these transaction fees are not necessarily huge, but they do eat into your profits. And if you're not calculating the profit properly, you may not be charging the right prices and you'll have a much, much lower profit margin. The last one, expenses. Now, you run your own business, and the beauty of it is that you can just expense everything through the business, right? That's the benefit. I hear this all the time. Now, first of all, if you're a solopreneur like myself, then it's just your money. You're not actually putting it on the business. That's just your profits. Sure, there's some tax benefits from it, but people are like, oh, the company's paying for it. No, it's just you paying for it. Secondly, you need to check what you're actually allowed to expense. You're going to have a field day if you've got one of those accountants who's very strict by the book, because you'll realise there's a lot of stuff that you're not allowed to expense. It's actually against a lot of rules. So you better check, because you might be actually putting yourself into trouble. And anyway, these expenses severely add up and eat away at your profit. And you might not think it's that big a deal, but say if you're like going for investment or you're looking to sell the company, then this profit number is what those guys look at. And if you're eating away at it, your business becomes a lot less attractive. And this gets worse if you have employees, right? Because employees that have expense allowance, and like I've seen companies, like my friends have got companies who've got company credit cards for their employees and they have a cap on it, but some of these employees max out their cap of expenses every single month, because why wouldn't they? And, yes, you want to have some trust with them, but you do probably need to kind of look at this because it eats into your profit massively. I get that you need to buy them work from home stuff now, and like there's other travel things or whatever things you need to do. But some people are just spending for the sake of it. And whilst you don't want to be checking up on them and you want to have that trust, I think like if you say to them that unreasonable spending will come out their own wages and you enforce it at least once, probably, I'm not sure how that will go down, but the honest ones won't care, right? I'm pretty sure that after that, then you'll see the expenses go down. So those are the 5 most common ways that I've seen small businesses bleed money, and they waste this every month. And it might just be a couple of £100 every month, but it all adds up, right? And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to hit me up on social media and ask me any questions that you have, and I'll see you in the next video.